Hello Internet! It's time for another Wednesday serial, and if you look on the internet, only one comic really came out this week that anyone's talking about. So I might as well jump on the bandwagon. Shabam! Justice League. Have you heard of it? Brand new #1. And the first pages are just what you probably read in a preview, that one that they put out everywhere with all the different titles going through, including this one frame here that is all fuzzy, even off camera. Wham! And if you don't know, this issue is about getting the team together, if you will, the first arc of any team book, it seems like anymore. And in this book, it's really just Green Lantern and Batman, so they're really just focusing on those big selling properties, which is alright. And we get a little interlude of He Who Shall Be Cyborg, but not yet. It's kind of weird to see that he's just there, and I guess they're going to play in his origin as you go. Also, this is supposed to be a little before where we get to some of the other books, I guess. We'll see how that all hashes out in actuality. I'm sure there'll be some variation in mileage there. Show that would be interesting to see as we go forward with all these brand new #1s. And, you know, I mean, it was Johns and Lee on this book, and they actually did a really good job. I was honestly expecting, with all the star power and everything, and honestly with all that Justice League books actually being for the past few years, an okay book, and it was actually a little higher than what I was expecting. Admittedly, expectations were low, but it was nice to see a nice solid comic, and, you know, actually would be wanting to pick this up regardless, so I'm glad that I'm on for the next couple of months and see how this all hashes out. As spoiled all over the internet, they've alluded to the fact that Darkseid will be the first villain that the Justice League confronts, which, no real surprises there, but the way they're doing the characterization and everything, it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out, and I'd like to see maybe a bit more of a twist on Darkseid. Give him something a little more than just evil incarnate. Give him a little quirk, something new, hopefully. And in the back they had some designs all over, and the one that caught my eye was Aquaman there, as it blurs out. There we go. And they gave it a more crustacean feel, which was interesting to me. And they did away with it because they said it wasn't regal enough, basically, and then they went back to the more classic one that we see. I mean, cut a little differently, but basically the classic costume, which is interesting to me, because that doesn't look very regal as well. There's no headpiece or anything. There's nothing really princely or kingly about it, and I actually liked the other design a bit more. It gave it more of a feel of Aquaman, that, like I said, crustacean feel. It seemed to be a bit more of the character, and I kind of wish they had gone with that. Then again, you know, I'm not really an Aquaman fan. I don't really care. It's just that's the sort of thing that would actually draw me more to the character as someone who hasn't really picked it up before. So I think it's interesting that they're sticking so close to the classics with character design and characters, even though it's all the same. More to that end, I've heard a little bit about it and seen some images and whatnot. The new Ultimates are coming out, and the new Ultimate Spider-Man is coming out, and it's a black kid. Oh my gosh! And it might be interesting to see that. Usually, I only pick up Ultimates in trades if I pick them up at all, and I'm really past it, but I'm kind of curious to see what they're doing with that, putting Spider-Man as a new character and the actual Spider-Man, if you will. Which is cool, and also it's kind of cool to see that they're doing something completely new with the character, and they're willing to do that. And I'm kind of shocked that none of the Justice League have any of that going on, and I'm hoping that they're willing to play a little more diversity into it at the very least. The very least, what I'd like to see with the Green Lanterns is Kyle Rayner used to be notably more Hispanic in design and in the way he was written and frankly it was almost subtly retconned for him to be white. And it would be cool to see him return to being a touch more Hispanic. Just a nice way for them to put in just a smidge more diversity. And since we're here, I wanted to talk about the Batgirl thing, which caught a lot of people's ire, and it caught mine as well. And I finally found why. Personally, the initial reaction was, I mean, growing up, I didn't have Barbara Gordon as Batgirl, so that wasn't the classic for me. That wasn't the standard. The standard was Oracle. And I read a bunch of stories with Oracle, and I really enjoyed that. And I finally figured out why. It's not that I don't think Barbara Gordon is maybe even the best fit for Batgirl, and even though I do think some of the other characters that have filled the role filled it a bit more interestingly, I think my problem with it is not that she's becoming Batgirl, but that we're losing Oracle. It seems like such a loss to the universe. We're losing another prominent feminine figure, which is a shame. Also, a prominent non-sexualized feminine figure, which is in some ways doubly important. Also, you're losing a range of conflict. She was able to do the whole digital confronting sort of hacker deal in a way that actually really worked in a lot of stories, and you're losing that whole level. You're also losing kind of an overseer mentor character, and I think Barbara Gordon is certainly a lot more interesting as a mature character than as another teenage character. I understand they're trying to revert them to a lot be younger, but in some ways she could be more mature for her age, and even if she was younger, and it's kind of a shame to lose all of that, and she's become so much more than Batgirl in a lot of ways. And also, I mean, I will say, yes, you're losing the disabled angle, which had some personal relevance to me, especially Once Upon a Time, and that doesn't matter to me as much, though. It's more about the fact that you're losing such a great, well-rounded character that isn't so much in the tights and so much of that, but something completely different that seemed to be in a lot of ways more important than just another character in tights, and gave more gravitas to the whole thing. And so it's really sad to see that Barbara Gordon go. Hopefully what comes in will justify this, but in my mind, unless they bring in another character to be that Oracle character, I'm still just going to view that as a whole loss through this whole deal. And that's not to say, I mean, it could be really interesting to actually take like Cassandra Cain and make her an Oracle character, using that not reading to kind of overcompensating later and making so much more of it. That could be really interesting, though the character arc from like Assassin's Guild to Tech Nerd might be a rough one to pull off and be compelling and believable to the character, but never know. So it would be nice to see something like that. That's just my thoughts now, and of course I haven't read the new Batgirl yet, but I was finally able to pin why I was so distraught over the loss of Oracle, because even beyond all that I've said, more personally, Birds of Prey is the only DC book that I've followed for years, and is really bitter even just in the casting and in the design to see what's happening to it before I even can give it an honest shot in reading it. So, there you go. More mileage than just Justice League, but honestly, I mean, it's a decent book, and there's not much to say about it yet. They're just setting up, and honestly, if they can't make a decent book just setting up with all these big name characters but giving a new fresh take on it, then they wouldn't have any business doing this reboot at all. So good to see that it's off on the right foot, and hopefully it just gains momentum as we read the books and go on. There were some other interesting comics that came out this week that I would like to get to, so look forward to another review real soon. Peace out.